Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar, starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. The North Central Regional Health Authority, NCRHA, says it is acknowledging concerns raised by nursing staff over recent payments linked to overtime and pool assignments, assuring that the matter is being addressed in accordance with the law. In a statement yesterday, the NCRHA said it recognized the critical role nurses play in delivering healthcare services and said both its board of directors and chief executive officer have taken note of the issues. The NCRHA said it was recently made aware of a memorandum issued by the Office of the Chief Personnel Officer, CPO, dated February 10th, 2023. Under who? That would have been under the PNMN. All right. Which outlines approved rates payable to pool nurses across established categories. A review subsequently identified an inconsistency in how these rates were applied at the NCRHA. According to the authority, a uniform rate of $75 per hour had been used across categories in contravention of the CPO's directive. Listen to what was the actual directive issued. The CPO's directive actually stipulated a lower base rate of $60 per hour with only specific specialized areas, which included intensive care, heart lab, and psychiatric nursing, authorized to receive the higher $75 rate. So the Patriots went and did what you said. They paid everybody, no matter where they were working within the healthcare system, in the hospitals, they were paid at the same rate. This NCRHA said corrective action was taken to revert to the authorized CPO rate. So they didn't go and just take back people money. They actually are enforcing what was already put in place by the CPO under the PNM, in keeping with established policy and legal requirements. It also noted that listen to this other part of it, it also noted that other regional health authorities have been operating in accordance with the directive, and that the NCRHA was the only authority not adhering to the approved structure. For how long is what we need to find out. The NCRHA said resolution of the matter will involve negotiations with the CPO, and it remains committed to pursuing lawful avenues for clarification. It acknowledged that the adjustments made may affect nurses' monthly earnings, particularly where overtime forms a significant portion of income, and said the changes are not intended to disadvantage staff, but ensure fairness and consistency. Not one set of people getting paid a certain amount and then the rest of the nurses in the country being paid a different amount. Being paid by what is legally provided and required. It added that outstanding pool claims for February 2026 are being audited and will be processed shortly. The North Central Regional Health Authority says a racket involving nurses taking home salaries ranging between $60,000 and $80,000 over a 3-month period due to hundreds of overtime hours has also been uncovered. Warning letters have been issued to various department heads for allowing this hemorrhage of taxpayers' money to occur, amounting to millions of dollars since 2023. Who was in office in 2023? PNM. My response. I reported about this yesterday, and I was basically sympathizing with the nurses and them because I thought this was something that was happening at a national level throughout the whole country. It was just something that, and I thought it was something that was approved by the CPO, and then they wanted to put it back to something that it was before 2020. That's what I assumed at that point in time. So I said, even though I was initially concerned about the reduction in the hourly rate, the question must be asked, why were these healthcare workers being paid more than others who are working in different locations in Trinidad and Tobago? How was that fair or even legal, people? That is what we need to find out. So while you all are protesting, bear in mind, any officials that perpetrated these crimes could end up facing time in prison. Don't go anywhere. More local, regional, and international news up next. Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Philip Alexander, has dubbed the Wildflower Park located in St. Clair of Port of Spain the People's Park, following the removal of signage restricting public access to the space. In a social media post, Minister Alexander described the removal as liberation. The Wildflower Park controversy dates back to April 2022. Who was in office in 2022, people? My dear patriots. PNM, yet again. When signs were erected allegedly by the Horticulture Division restricting public access. At the time, citizens reported being confronted by private security guards and observed the installation of a security camera powered by a nearby private residence. I wonder how come. Why it took place under the PNM people? Before becoming a minister, Mr. Alexander raised concerns, arguing that the measures amounted to the unlawful seizure of public land. A lot of the things that he promised to fix while he was just a normal citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, he is keeping his promises now.
I'll never forget the first time that I had to come to this park. I couldn't believe what was tried here. I couldn't believe that people tried to seize a public park and prevent the people from using the park. And the fight that we fought, and I want to say again, we would have never gotten to this without the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, without the Honorable Ravi Ratira, Minister of Agriculture. I want to thank them both.
Before becoming a minister, Mr. Alexander raised concerns, arguing that measures amounted to the unlawful seizure of public land.
A message from Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Do not worry, parents. The TTPS officers will remain in schools to protect our beloved children, despite the undermining of the program by PNM MPs and the most evil in society, lawless in society, who want our children unprotected. Over the weekend, I received messages from concerned parents whose children attend schools in PNM-controlled constituencies that benefit from the school-oriented police initiative. Yes, people. Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa wasn't just placing police officers in schools to protect UNC supporters. It's also in PNM districts, and it's to protect PNM children or supporters of the PNM whose children are attending those schools. Yes, but anyhow, she went on to say, I want to make it clear that the police officers at these schools will not be removed. They will remain there to protect our beloved children and teachers. The government plans to expand this initiative in the coming months to ensure peace and stability within our education system. I've been saying that for a while now. Since last year, I was saying that they should have it in all schools throughout Trinidad and Tobago, maybe even some primary schools as well, because there's a lot of bullying that takes place in primary schools too. I love and care for all our students. It does not matter which constituency they attend school in, and it certainly does not matter if their parents support the UNC or PNM. You ever heard PNM talking like that? No. My job is to support and protect all of our students to give them the best opportunity possible to succeed and achieve greatness in their lives. My response, well said, Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Even though I do believe that there's need for significant reform in the TTPS and that all police officers should be mandated to wear body cams, I'm still thankful that this new administration, the UNC administration, has taken decisive action in order to protect our nation's teachers and students who genuinely desire to receive their education. Regional news up next.
Trinidad and Tobago weather, Monday, March 30th. Main outlook, it's looking like a mix of sunshine and clouds for both islands. Expect partly cloudy to cloudy periods throughout the day with some light to moderate showers or rain. There's a 50% to 70% chance of heavy showers or even a thunderstorm in some areas, especially across Trinidad, due to an approaching trough. Temperature, highs will stay around 30 degrees Celsius, 31 degrees Celsius, while the night should cool down to about 24 degrees Celsius, 25 degrees Celsius. Winds, breezy conditions will continue, with winds coming from the northeast to east-northeast. Marine alert, seas will be slight to moderate, waves 1.0 meters to 1.5 meters, but spring tides are in effect, so be extra careful if you're by the coast. Piarco, Trinidad, high 31 degrees Celsius, low 24 degrees Celsius. Crown Point, Tobago, high 31 degrees Celsius, low 25 degrees Celsius. Sunrise, 6 a.m., sunset, 6:13 p.m. Reminder, heavy downpours could lead to some localized street flooding.
5 months after the passage of Hurricane Melissa, the danger hasn't passed. It's hanging literally over nearly every road, sidewalk, and gate in Westmoreland, especially in the capital of Jamaica. What used to be a routine drive remains a gamble as low-hanging wires now snake along roadways and sidewalks, turning everyday movement into a split-second calculation between safety and disaster. I'm sure probably there isn't. It doesn't have electricity it isn't live wires. It doesn't have electricity in it. Nevertheless, it's still dangerous. People could trip and fall and stuff like that. One wrong move, one unseen cable, and the outcome could be catastrophic. Savannah Lamar Mayor Danry Delancey expressed frustration at what he described as the uneven response efforts among utility providers, noting that while some companies have started to address the issue, others have been slow to act. He added that he has personally been making efforts to have some of the wires removed, but stressed that broader cooperation is needed. Now, I hope and pray I'm right by what I'm saying. Those wires aren't live. Georgetown, Guyana is steadily rebounding after yesterday's prolonged intense rainfall, which triggered widespread flooding across the city. Rapid drainage and receding floodwaters are being attributed to ongoing central government interventions, with President Irfan Ali noting that strategic works such as the clearing of internal drains, installation of pumps, and desilting of outfall channels played a critical role in easing this situation. In other words, it could have been probably much worse. While the visible improvements signal progress, authorities are urging continued vigilance. The Hydrometeorological Service of Guyana has forecast further moderate to heavy rainfall through Tuesday, maintaining the risk of flooding in vulnerable and low-lying communities will or may continue. Barbados already enjoying expanded airlift from the United Kingdom and North America, colonial countries, people. Yes, Barbados enjoying that. They love the colonials to come, but they don't love the colonials. It is now set to welcome its newest scheduled service from Canada, another colonial country. Canada's Porter Airlines has received scheduled international licenses to operate flights to Barbados, the Dominican Republic, and Aruba. On Wednesday, the Canadian Transportation Agency, CTA, approved Porter to offer scheduled flights to Bridgetown and 2 other Caribbean destinations. Now, I am happy for them, very happy for them. It's just the hypocrisy I can't stand. You want the white man's money. You want the US dollars, the Canadian dollars, the pounds. But you're always bad talking the colonials. That's hypocrisy, my dear people. The Coalition of Independence in Bahamas is proposing a $10,000 retention bonus for nurses every 3 years as part of its plan to strengthen the healthcare system. Deputy Leader Dr. Veronica McIver said the initiative would be implemented within the party's first 100 days in office if elected. She emphasized that supporting and retaining healthcare workers is a top priority, adding that the plan also includes a comprehensive review of working conditions for nurses and other healthcare professionals. We love and respect our healthcare workers, But like here in Trinidad and Tobago, your officials, not you, not the healthcare workers, they were just receiving the salaries and happy for it. We had to abide by the laws as well.
The salaries will be increased incrementally. It wouldn't be increased right up to what they get in the U.S., but we will start on 10th day and we'll reevaluate and start increasing their salaries. Also, too, we have said before that nurses, we have to retain our nurses, man. The hospital cannot work without nurses. And so therefore we've decided we are going to give them a $10,000 bonus every 3 years should they stay.
International news now, more than 120 munitions were dropped on sites used for the research, development, and production of weapons in Tehran, Iran. On Sunday, dozens of Israeli Air Force fighter jets acting on IDF intelligence completed an additional wave of strikes targeting Iranian terrorist regime infrastructure sites in Tehran, the Ayatollah terrorist regime. In this wave of strikes, the IDF focused its efforts on furthering damage to the regime's weapons production capabilities. During these strikes, over 120 munitions were launched towards sites used for research, development, and production of weapons. Simultaneously, the IDF struck sites used for the storage and launch of ballistic missiles, which pose a direct threat to the civilians of the state of Israel, and I will add to the state of citizens of various neighboring countries as well. Some of them are allies of Iran, as well as several regime aerial defense systems. Over the past 24 hours, more than 150 fighter jets have struck weapons production sites across Tehran. The strikes on the regime's military industries in Tehran are ongoing. Monster catch. Florida Keys charter captain Jose Rodriguez Jr. had never come close to a 500-pound swordfish until he and a Pennsylvania family reeled in a 480-pound giant, one of the biggest caught in the Keys in recent years. After a grueling 5-hour battle, the family donated most of the catch around town, enough to feed much of the community. The whole community was eating swordfish that day, Rodriguez said. Wow, wonderful.
What am I stuck on? Hold up. Ready, go. Get help over here. Got to help. Hold the staff with me. You ready? Just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Pull. Pull. Car, watch out. He's going to fall. Watch out. He's going to fall. Oh my God.
Daring rescue. A stranded hiker was airlifted from California's Black Star Canyon as crews used a helicopter and harness system to bring him to safety. Officials said the hiker was uninjured but unable to exit the rugged terrain on his own. Why did he go there? Why do people do that? Why do they go by themselves, especially if you're not really accustomed with hiking? But even if you are, I mean, those are very large areas where you can end up getting lost easily. But nevertheless, thankfully, he was found, he was rescued, and he was in good health. Now for the interesting facts segment, an 83-year-old man from Turkey, Ali Nis, touched hearts worldwide after a viral video showed him calmly holding his kitten while his home burned. The emotional moments highlighted his deep bond with his pet, quickly spread across social media. Yes, most of us love our pets as though they are family because we consider them to be family. Moved by his story, local and national groups came together to help providing him with a new home in Bolu province. Now living part-time with his son, he continues to visit and care for his cats, reminding many that compassion and community can change lives.
Welcome to Real Conservative News Travel Adventures. Imagine standing at the edge of the world, where the air is crisp, the peaks are draped in eternal snow, and the horizon stretches forever. Welcome to Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado's crown jewel and a true high-altitude playground. Your journey begins on Trail Ridge Road. This isn't just a drive, it's an ascent into the heavens. As you climb to over 12,000 feet, you'll leave the lush ponderosa pines behind and emerge into the alpine tundra, a fragile, windswept landscape that feels more like the Arctic Circle than the American West. Down in the valleys, the park pulses with life. Picture yourself wandering through the Bear Lake corridor where crystal-clear subalpine lakes reflect the jagged shark's tooth peaks like a perfect mirror. The Wildlife Show, this is the land of giants. You'll likely spot massive elk grazing in Moraine Park or majestic bighorn sheep scaling vertical cliffs. The autumn magic, if you visit in the fall, the mountainside erupts in a sea of shimmering gold as the aspens turn, all set to the haunting, wild soundtrack of bull elk bugling across the meadows. Whether you're looking for a gentle stroll around Sprague Lake or a heart-pounding trek up to the Spray of Alberta Falls, there is a trail for every soul. For the ultimate peace and quiet, head to the Cohoonich Valley on the park's west side, where the mighty Colorado River begins as a tiny, bubbling stream. Rocky Mountain National Park isn't just a destination, it's a sensory explosion of granite, greenery, and sky. It's wild, it's rugged, and it's waiting for you. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.